Hi, I'm Pam Tillery.
And I'm Jody Tanner.
And we are
the TNT Group. We are now located at RE/MAX Realty Team, and we would like to share our new slogan with you.
Our goal is to serve with compassion, guide with integrity, and inspire you to reach your real estate dreams.
And you can reach us at 478-353-1234. Give us a call.
I'm Pam.
And I'm Jody.
And we are
the TNT Group.
Community Bank of Dublin Lawrence County is here to help you with all of your financial needs. Our team knows what it takes to make life easy and convenient and will help you get set up with our mobile and online banking. We founded Community Bank on common sense banking and a dedication to help people just like you. Our lender, Amy Thompson, loan officer, Gail Rainey, along with our Assistant Vice President, Ryan Lastinger, Executive Vice President, Brian Bazemore, and President CEO, Chuck Harwell, know what it takes to make life easy and convenient and can help you with loans for almost everything, from your automobile, home, land, or any financial goals you have. Come visit us today. Community Bank of Dublin Lawrence County, where common sense banking never goes out of style.
Welcome back to our show. Now we are going to hear from our Dublin Judicial Circuit District Attorney candidates, Mr. Craig Fraser and Mr. Trey Taylor. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. You gentlemen will have 2 minutes for your opening statement, and Mr. Fraser, we will start with you, and your time starts now.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Craig Fraser, District Attorney for the Dublin Judicial Circuit, and I want to thank TV 35 and its personnel for giving us the chance to come out here tonight and speak to the voters directly and state our positions and what our records are. I don't think I need an introduction. I think most of the people in the Dublin Circuit know who I am. But briefly, I started my career as an assistant district attorney in the Dublin Judicial Circuit, where I prosecuted inside the district attorney's office for over 10 years, honing my craft, making sure that I had the skills to proceed forward, and I later was honored by the voters of the Dublin Circuit, and I was elected district attorney, where I have served for the last 4 terms. I'm honored to be your district attorney. I have more experience inside this race for district attorney than any candidate that has declared themselves that they want to be the district attorney. I have put an office together that's very effective and very efficient. I have a personnel inside my office that is second to none inside the circuits of the judicial circuits of the state of Georgia. This is a race that truly experience matters. This is not a job for a beginner. This is a job that has the #1 graduate in my office from Mercer Law School. I have prosecutors, career prosecutors that have 10, 15, 20, 30 years of experience. They're in the courtrooms daily, prosecuting crime, making sure that our communities are safe. I want to ask for your vote. I want to ask for you to ask for a Republican ballot on June the 9th and vote Craig Fraser for district attorney in the Dublin Judicial Circuit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Fraser. Mr. Taylor, you have 2 minutes.
I began this journey almost 3 years ago because I was concerned about the way the district attorney's office was being run. Cases are lingering on the dockets for years at a time. There is no direct action being taken against dangerous criminal street gangs who are terrorizing our community. Drug dealers are being released back onto the streets while low-level offenders are lingering needlessly in our jails and costing the taxpayers dollars. To put it simply, there seems to be no sense of urgency. Problems continue to get larger, and nobody seems to care or do anything about it. I see issues with personnel, and I see a district attorney who seems to be disengaged from the process and detached from the affairs of his office in the community. After listening to the concerns of numerous law enforcement officers, the concerns of the leaders of our community and others, hearing complaints from lawyers, both in our circuit and from outer circuits, and listening to concerned citizens, I became convinced that a leadership change was needed in the district attorney's office. Feeling a call on my life to public service, I began fervently seeking the Lord's direction for my life. Now, I can't put a finger on the day or time that it became clear to me, but early on it was clear that this was where my passion and skill set would be best served for our community. I've learned a lot during my years as a small business owner. I know how to manage people, I know how to manage processes, I know how to stay on budget, I know how to make it through tough times. I know how to go the extra mile for my clients and how to get things done because my reputation, my business, and my livelihood depends on it. I'm invested and engaged in this community. My track record of service proves that. From the Rotary Club to the Chamber of Commerce, from Easter Seals to the Lighthouse, from local Boy Scout troops that I've served to the Sunday school class that I teach with my wife right now, I've always done more than just what is required of me. It's the type of person I am, it's the type of leader that I will be in the District Attorney's Office, and I believe it's the type of District Attorney that the citizens deserve.
We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Hello, I am Royce Hall. Vote for Lee Dixon, Tax Commissioner for Lawrence County. Lee and I grew up together. We rode the bus together. There was times when we were riding the bus, Lee would always take up for me. So I know that Lee would stand for what's right. I just, want to thank Lee for taking a stand to be a tax commissioner. It would be a smooth transition for Lee to take this role as tax commissioner.
Hello, I'm June Moore, and my brother is Lee Dixon. He's a tax officer at the tax office here in Dublin, Lawrence County. I'm supporting him because he has excellent work ethics. He's honest, dependable, trustworthy, and he's the type of person that we need in that office. Thank you for your support.
I'm Lee Dixon, and I approve this message.
Hey, I'm Tasha Rowland, inviting you to come out to the Cloverleaf Restaurant to enjoy all-you-can-eat buffet. We are now cafeteria style. We got all your favorite cooked up and fresh, ready to enjoy. Open Sunday through Friday, 11 to 2. And Friday is our seafood day. Cloverleaf Restaurant will have your plate ready. Call 478-275-2080. Cloverleaf Caters. Call us for your next gathering or event. Cloverleaf Restaurant, we'll see you soon.
I'm Jeff Shepard, and we're here at Roach Farmer Garden to let you know that we are here for you. You may call us at 478-272-3340. We're offering curbside pickup, or call in and ask about delivery on bulk items. Cooking more around the house? Have a full line of grills, fryers, along with the seasoned pellets, chips, and charcoal. Small garden or 1,000-acre farm. We have everything from fertilizer, seed, and weed control. From cats to cows and every animal in between. Roach Farm and Garden carries all the feed and a full line of animal care products. Trouble finding pool supplies? Roach Farm and Garden has you covered. Got too much time on your hands? Get your honey-do some plant. We have trees and shrubs arriving daily with a greenhouse full of veggies. Roach Farm and Garden in 2 locations, Dublin and Wrightsville. Good luck and God bless.
And I'm going to start our first round of questions with you. Would you share with us your judicial philosophy?
Yeah, I think the law should be enforced without favor to socioeconomic status, across racial lines, depending on whether we know people. The law should be enforced equally among all the citizens. It's really the rule of law is what our society depends on, and we have to make sure that we are equally applying it to all the citizens. So that is my judicial philosophy, is apply the law as it's written on the books. It's not our job to make it or interpret it, it's our job to apply it.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Frazier, what is your judicial philosophy?
My judicial philosophy is that everyone should be treated fairly inside a courtroom. There's 2 places in the world that everyone should be treated equal. Now, they should be treated equal everywhere, but there's 2 places that demand that they be treated equal, and that's inside the church house and that's inside the courthouse. To make sure that people are treated equal and make sure that their rights are protected, you first got to know how to do that. You first had to have some skills, and you got to know how to protect people's rights. to have an ideal and not have the skills to enforce it is absolutely nothing. When you tell everybody, if you look and you say, I want to climb Mount Everest, if you don't make some preparation, if you don't get up the tools that are necessary, if you don't train yourself, just to have the desire, that's a great thing to have the desire to climb Mount Everest. But if you don't prepare yourself, you will never make it to the top, and all you will do is get in the way of people who are trying to climb. But my philosophy is that you will be treated fair inside the courtrooms of the Dublin Judicial Circuit, and my record shows that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Frazier, would you please address the issue of gangs in Lawrence County?
Well, we know that the gangs have been a problem. Listen, I've been addressing gangs. I think in this campaign, my opponent says that, Trey says that I hadn't looked at gangs and nobody in the judicial system is even worried about gangs. Let me tell you something. I was inside the Dublin High School in 2009 speaking to the entire student body about gangs. I was warning them of the dangers of gangs. The first gang legislation was passed in 1992, and it was so ineffective that not one single person was ever successfully prosecuted under that statute in the entire state of Georgia. They went back and redid it in 2001, then they went back again in 2004, and then they modified it in 2006. They did it again in 2010. And then they were in the legislature at this last session, and the governor and them were kicking it around, trying to make it tougher, trying to make it stronger. And I found out that legislation was problematic. And so what I decided to do early on as a district attorney, instead of messing around and wasting time with a law that was not effective, I went ahead and started prosecuting gang members back then. And I did it with predicate crimes. I don't think Trey understands what I'm talking about. When a gang member, when he turns around and commits a murder and you can get life in the penitentiary, why in the world are you wanting to now prosecute him as a gang member? You get him convicted of murder, you send him off for life in the penitentiary, and you don't see him no more, and he gets the message, and so does the gang members get the message. Governor Kemp has decided to address that inside the legislature this last time. He has come up with some great ideas. The data system that he put into effect, we've had one here in our circuit and been working on it for a long time. He's now got one statewide, and Vic Reynolds, GBI director, who was a prosecutor in Athens, friend of mine, or excuse me, Cobb County, friend of mine, he understands what district attorneys are up against with this legislation. So I think we're going to see some changes. My goal is to wipe the gangs out here in Lawrence County in the Dublin Circuit.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Mr. Taylor, gangs in Lawrence County.
Yeah, and to say that I don't understand the problem or what a predicate crime is just a level of condescension that I'm not.
I didn't say you didn't understand the problem. I said you didn't understand the law.
And to respond to that, what I would say is that we do have a vibrant gang statute on the books right now. It's used in pretty much every other circuit that I've prosecuted or worked in and handled cases in. I'm just not sure why we don't do it here. It's as if we're fighting gangs with one hand tied behind our back. What I think would be a better thing to do is let's throw everything we have at them. In this fight, it's a fight for our community. It's a fight for our children and a fight for our way of life. Why would we not use every tool available to us under the law to prosecute these people? I understand getting them on underlying crimes, but if we're able to bring extra resources to the table by charging these things like they do in other jurisdictions, why would we not do that? It makes no sense to me.
Okay. Let me respond to that just a minute.
I'm sorry, Mr. Frazier. I got questions I got to get to, so we can
I can't point out the errors in his ways and what he's talking about, and how completely off the map that is. He does not understand what he's talking about.
No, sir. I need you to answer
okay,
these
well,
questions.
I'd ask the voters to call me on the phone, and I'll be glad to explain to them how the answer that he just gave has. Okay. He does not understand
Mr. Taylor,
the art of prosecution.
Ask you the next question here. Do you feel the Lawrence County war on drugs has been effective or ineffective?
Well, you know, I think that the drug problem is something that we're always having to sort of renew the fight against. And unfortunately, you know, what I see is that when these cases are not being prosecuted quickly and these people are still out on the street, we have drug dealers who are turned back out on the street and continuing to push this poison on our community, that makes it worse. So, some of the issues that we're talking about here today certainly need to be addressed, and I think would help that underlying problem. The epidemic on opioids, it's taken a hard toll on our community and others in rural Georgia, just like ours, and it's a fight that we're all fighting. But law enforcement, I think, does a good job of trying to fight this stuff, but I know they get frustrated when they make cases and then 2 days later they see the same people back out on the streets, and I know that's frustrating, and I think that's something that we need to change.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier, do you feel Lawrence County's war on drugs has been effective or ineffective?
Well, let me put it this way. My office has fought drugs now, and what you have a lot of times, Heath, is you'll have one drug of the month, and it'll be the drug that's being sold, and you'll get it wiped off the streets, and then you'll have another one that'll appear. It's an insidious evil that's in our community, and it's hard to combat, but we're combating it. But I want to address the thing that Trey is talking about, and he says you see these people back on the street over and over, and they're not being prosecuted. My office, I don't know if he understands this, my office does not set bonds. We oppose bond. Bond is set by the Superior Court judges. If we tell them not to do it, we don't have control. I can't make the judges do anything. We oppose bonds, they grant bonds. Sometimes they don't grant bonds, but there's a number of steps that you have to present inside the courtroom, and the judge either goes with you or not. Now, the next thing, he talks about prosecutions that are lingering. There's a crime lab problem in the state of Georgia. Every drug case that is made in the state of Georgia has to be sent to a crime lab. They've cut the funding to the crime labs. Prosecutors across the entire state of Georgia, actually in the southeast, are complaining in all the states because the crime labs have been underfunded. When you send drugs off, and drugs have to be tested in every drug case that you prosecute, when you send them off, the methamphetamine, the cocaine, heroin, whatever drug it may be, there's a lag within the the crime labs of 6 months to a year and a half. You cannot carry that case to court and prosecute it unless they have the drugs. If you do as Trey wants to do and just head on into court and get them prosecuted, you're going to get a directed verdict because you don't have the drugs that you can present in court. Now, my office has always tried to follow it up. We've made trips sometimes to the crime lab to pick up those drugs and talk with or get the crime lab to give us the results back a little quicker. But it's not just the fact that the judges are turning people out and that the DA's office don't proceed forward. I don't know how Trey Taylor is going to carry these drug dealers and people that we catch with drugs to court before he has the evidence. And it'll be a 6 months to a year before that evidence comes back. The governor, even I think this year, they were talking about cutting crime lab budgeting again. That is not something we need to do. They opened up a new crime lab in Pooler, Georgia, and that's helped. But we need much more funds from the legislature to help us speed that process up for prosecution.
Mr. Frazier, we need to make sure we try to adhere to the 90 seconds, if you could.
I will do the best I can.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Riverview Golf Course, located on the beautiful Oconee River, is open to the public 7 days a week from 7 till 7, and you can play all day for just $25. Riverview Golf Course opened in the spring of 1977 and has been enjoyed by thousands since. Come on out to Riverview Golf Course today off Highway 19 at Riverview Drive, just 2 miles off I-16, exit 54. Riverview Golf Course in Dublin, making memories every day.
I'm Matt Lake, and I want to be your next Lawrence County Tax Commissioner. I want to bring business solutions to government problems. I've got over 20 years of business experience here in Lawrence County. I've also got businesses in Bullitt County. And through my years of running these businesses, we've learned how to implement systems, how to bring things up to par, how to make things efficient, how to keep up with technology. And I know that we can use this experience that I've gained so that we can serve the citizens of Lawrence County in a more economically friendly way and ultimately save some money for all the taxpayers in Lawrence County. I don't believe we should settle for the status quo. The citizens of Lawrence County deserve better. Elect me, Matt Lake, your next tax commissioner here in Lawrence County. I'm Matt Lake and I approve this message.
Thank you. What are your strategies to improve caseload processing and increase conviction rates within the DA office?
Well, what we do in the DA's office is it is a continuous process of training lawyers. We make sure that lawyers have the tools that they need. They have the training that they need. My lawyers have been prosecuting for 10, 20, 30 years inside that district attorney's office as career prosecutors. It's not a matter of just wanting to send drug dealers off. You've got to have the skills and the knowledge to send drug dealers off. We try to give training. I just recently sent one person from each law enforcement agency in the entire circuit. I sent them to have gang training and how to make cases. We all the time give extra training at the prosecuting attorney's council for any law enforcement that would like to attend. So it's a matter of being experienced. You got to be able to have the policemen trained so that they can make good cases, they can present good cases, we can process good cases, and that causes guilty verdicts. You let a sloppy case come up, and there will be a trial every time. Let me say this fact: 85% of the cases inside the Dublin Circuit plead guilty. 15% want trials, and out of that 15%, a lot of them go ahead and plead guilty.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Taylor, what are your strategies to improve caseload processing and increase conviction rates within the DA office?
Yeah, and just to follow up on this gang training, I'm glad that finally got done when we reached crisis mode. This is probably something we should have been looking at 10 years ago, but I'm glad it's done now. As for increasing processing, one of the ideas that I have, and I spoke a little bit about it earlier, is there are folks out at the jail who simply want to plea out on their cases, and there's a mechanism that I think we should look into utilizing and perhaps plugging in the district attorney's office, and that would be proceeding with accusations and moving cases forward on an accusation as opposed to running it through the formal indictment process with a grand jury. I think that would allow some of those people who just want to take plea deals on the cases, and I heard the statistic, and that's actually true. It's true across the board that most cases do plea, and so if we can find a way to speed up those pleas, I think that would certainly help with some of the snowball effect that we have of cases rolling forward from year to year.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, as district attorney, how would you handle a fatal use of force incident involving local police?
Yeah, I think the first thing that needs to be done is the GBI needs to be called. If I had to, as an outsider looking into the specific situation down in Brunswick, I think that the appropriate thing that should have been done from the get-go is the GBI should have been immediately called. I know that gentleman was not current law enforcement, but he was former law enforcement, and because of that close relationship with the prosecutor's offices in that area, I immediately think that the GBI should be called in. But should we have that sort of situation come up here, which I pray to God never does happen in our community, I think the appropriate thing to do would be to immediately turn it over to the GBI and seek guidance from the Attorney General's office on whether or not a special prosecutor would need to be appointed.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier, how would you handle a fatal use of force incident involving local police?
Well, I have handled fatal use of force where fatalities have occurred with citizen police encounters. I've done that a number of times. It always works out, it has so far, because I've been a district attorney for many years, and I understand what's necessary to do it. It's horrible to get a call and they tell you that a citizen has been injured or dead, and that they want to know, what do we do next? And you have to advise what to do. You do continue along with your investigation, but you do call the GBI. It's sometimes good to do that and have them to come in and have them do it as listen. You don't want the agency that the violence occurred. You don't want them investigating themselves. So that's what the GBI is for. My office has actually gone as far as notifying not just fatal instances, but instances where you have violence used against citizens. And we have contacted and used the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And again, Trey says he hopes that never happens here. It's happened. And I must have handled it rather well because he didn't even know about it. So anyway, you do call the GBI in and you make sure that the citizens are satisfied with what happened, and it's completely transparent and completely open. That's what you have to do.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I'll start with you this time, Mr. Frazier. Would you consider alternative sentencing or other methods when prosecuting? And is there a way you would like to plan to implement these methods?
Well, we already have alternative sentencing. We have a veterans court that I was instrumental in helping organize. Veterans court allows veterans who have served and honorably, when they have first-time offenses and nonviolent offenses. Some of them may be violent, but nobody is really injured to the, it could be a battery, a simple battery and things like that. It could be drug use. I always believe, first time I ran on a campaign that said second chances, not third and fourth, but second chances. And we've had veterans courts, we've had the mental health courts. That's two things I've been extremely concerned about. The worst thing in the world is for a young person to be, or an older person to have mental issues and have to go through the court system. So we have alternative issues with that. And my office itself will sometimes take young people. We've done this, first time offense. We make sure they enroll in college. They come back and they tell us, here at the heart of Georgia, they come back and show us where they've gotten in school. And then we say, listen, you stay clean, you stay fine, you be tested. And this will not be, you will not be burdened with this for the rest of your life. But we're also looking at the drug court right now, too. That's something else we're looking for to do here in the next year.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, alternative sentencing or other methods, and is there a way you would like to implement these methods?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to help the people that we can. Those programs are not appropriate for everyone, but for the few, the handful of folks that come through the system, on a yearly basis that it is good for, I think we do need to be offering those types of programs so that folks can repair whatever is wrong with their life and move on to be productive citizens if that's what they're going to do. So I am all in favor of those, and I think we should be expanding those and screening folks for, whether or not they're appropriate participants. I think we need to get a drug court installed and start, utilizing alternative sentencing. I think accountability courts are a great thing, and we ought to be utilizing them as much as we possibly can to help the people that we're able to.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, want a successful career? Start with an education that puts you front and center with hands-on experience. An education that will prepare you for opportunity in 2 years or less. An education that's fast and affordable. Most OFTC students graduate debt-free thanks to the Hope Career Grant, which offers free tuition in more than 63 programs. Think differently about college. Choose OFTC for an education that's fast, local, and debt-free. OFTC is an equal opportunity institution.
I'm Heath Richter, and we just want to invite everybody to come on down to the Houston Clinic and check us out at our new facility. We've been in Dublin for a while now, obviously, but have a new office here, and we'd just like you to come down and see some of the new stuff we're offering. And if you need to get checked out, we'd be glad to do that for you. We've got able to do some ultrasound-guided injections now, and physical therapy, and just a little bit better space, so hopefully we can get you in and out of here a little bit quicker.
Come by and see us today at our brand new location, the Houston Clinic, Medical Drive in Dublin.
Mr. Taylor, would you share with us your views on the death penalty?
Yeah, I think it's appropriate. And it is appropriate. I'm not opposed to it. I think it should be used sparingly. I don't think it should be used, obviously the Supreme Court's come out and, talked about using it against young folks. I don't think that's appropriate, but I think it is appropriate in certain cases where we're in the most heinous of crimes. If that is something that the jury comes back and finds is appropriate, then I think it should be used. I'm not opposed to it.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier, would you share your views on the death penalty?
I will. I think the community here understands my position on it. I argued the only successful death penalty case before the courts that had been done in 50 years when one of our young deputies was gunned down out at Whipple's Crossing. It's been a number of years ago, and I remember sitting here right now exactly the time and date and where I was standing, and when the phone rang and I heard the news. A lady who's now Superior Court judge in another circuit, she was the one who called me and told me about it. She was an assistant DA at the time. Listen, the Bible sets forth the use of the death penalty. I certainly think that is why the district attorney's office is one of the only professions in the world that you can call on your fellow citizens to ask them to put to death another citizen for the crime that he's done. That is not a duty to be taken lightly. That is a duty that transcends, that goes above all. So you should be very careful in what you do when you use that system, when you say that and you do that. But I think my record speaks for itself how I feel about the death penalty. I argued before the parole board the use of life and death matters, of whether or not the killer should be put to death. It took us 12 years, and I promised that family I would follow it through, and I would not stop until justice was done. And I did. I went to every hearing, I went everywhere it happened, and I went finally to the parole board and argued, as they argued, the other side argued, to let him go. And I wouldn't stop, and we were successful. I'm not proud that a human being had to be put to death, but it was justice.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Mr. Frazier, would you address the issue of overcrowded jails?
Overcrowded jails, I was elected, and I've said this before, I was elected to put people in jail. They didn't elect me to put people out of jail. I know a lot of times I'll get phone calls and they'll say, we need to let this many people out. Well, I have asked some of the officials and some of our elected officials, write me a letter and you tell me which one of the criminals that you don't want in the jailhouse and that you want me to turn loose back into the community so we can save a few dollars. You send it to me and I'll be glad to turn them loose. I'll say you said do it and we'll turn them out. You know, I never received a letter from anybody telling me to do that. They said they just want to forget about it. They want the district attorney to take it upon himself and go talk with the Superior Court judges and say, let's turn them loose. Listen, as long as I'm the district attorney in the Dublin Judicial Circuit, when you do the crime, you're going to do the time. If you get locked up, I'm not the one to call and say, go out there and start representing him because it's costing us a little money. I don't think the taxpayers and the citizens of the Dublin Circuit want their district attorney running interference and making sure that the jails are not overcrowded. The reason them people are in jail is they have done things. They have been arrested, and they can get them some defense lawyers and let them represent them and let them get them out and let them talk to the judges. I'm not running interference for some criminals that the sheriff has locked up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Mr. Taylor, would you address overcrowded jails?
Yeah, I think the expansion that's going on at the jail recently, been out there numerous times, it's really going to help things and allow them to manage the population a little bit better. So I think we're certainly making progress in regards to the logistics of that out at the jail. But what I think Mr. Frazier is speaking to, and I think I'm in tune with this subject enough, is I think the Sheriff's Department just wants somebody they can sit down and talk to and work with. And the jailers out there just want somebody to listen to them and to apply common sense to these decisions about incarcerating the most dangerous of criminals, but those who are not necessarily dangerous to the public, let's put them on the appropriate restrictions and, perhaps either plead their case out using some of the methods that I talked about before and get them on their way, or set a reasonable bond and put them on, the restrictions that it's going to take to keep the community safe. But not everybody needs to be locked up for every single offense, and I think just applying some common sense and not having such a hard and fast rule of we incarcerate everybody and we oppose bond, I just think the Sheriff's Department wants somebody they can talk to and work with.
That'd be the judges. They're the ones that set the bonds, not the district attorneys. I can say give them a bond all day long. It's the judge. He's the one that you need to go talk to, not the district attorney. He sets the bonds. That's another reason you need some experience and know what the job's about.
We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Glenn Register with Hometown Supply. Hometown Supply, located in downtown Dublin, is here for all of your home and hardware needs. We work with customers. I know sometimes times get tough. We work with you through those. Local delivery is available for merchandise sold. Anything that a customer needs, we take care of. Just remember, if you can't do business at Hometown Supply, you just can't do business.
Over 70 years ago, my granddaddy, H. Dale Thompson, began serving Dublin and Lawrence County as a country lawyer who wanted to serve the people. My uncle, Scott Thompson, continues the practice of law and is a local prominent historian. I learned the value of service from my family. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Anyone can be great because anyone can serve." It would be my honor to serve you as Lawrence County Probate Court Judge.
We're going to have our closing statements now. Gentlemen, you have 2 minutes, and I'll start with you, Mr. Taylor.
You know, the first step in solving a problem is admitting that you have one, and unfortunately, Mr. Fraser's just not willing to admit that we have a problem here in the Dublin Judicial Circuit. His denial will do nothing to address the serious issues facing our community. He's made, it's going to do nothing to move us forward. Under his continued leadership, it's going to be status quo, business as usual, and we're going to get the same mediocre results. He's gone on social media numerous times and talked about how he finds my discussion of these topics to be humorous. But to me, this is no laughing matter because it's not funny, folks. Instead of focusing on solutions for the problems that we have, he continues to attack and belittle me because of my age and what he perceives as a lack of experience. Fact of the matter is that under his leadership and management at the District Attorney's Office, cases are not being prosecuted in a timely manner. Victims are being denied justice. You have a Mr. Pittman who committed a child molestation in 2012. You have a Mr. Davis who committed a child molestation in 2014. Those children are waiting for justice, and nothing is being done to help them. Men, women, children, so many other like them. Cases pending on this docket from 13, 14, I could go on and on, folks. I understand problems with the drug lab, but when you've got a drug case that's been sitting out there for 5 or 6 years, that's unacceptable. Almost no direct action is being taken against dangerous criminal street gangs. Yet, on March 2018, Fraser goes on the front page of the paper and says, quote, "We are going to hit these gangs and send a message. We're not going to sit idly by and let this problem get worse." Well, that message never got sent, and the problem has gotten worse. His office is not accessible. It operates with no transparency. Accountability to the taxpayers and the public is not the standard, and we have to demand more from our public officials. Don't misunderstand me, folks. I don't think Mr. Fraser's a bad person, and I don't think he has bad intentions, but the time has come for fresh leadership with a bold vision for the future and values that we trust.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Fraser, you will have 2 minutes.
I've got so much I want to address, I don't think that'll take it all in, Heath. He talks about accessibility, and my office is accessible. He talks about transparency. Let me tell you about transparency. He wants me to be transparent. How about him? How about when he made the statement on his social media, he said, "I have never drawn a government check as a lawyer." But he's the Department of Family and Children Services lawyer. He's drawn in the last couple of years as part-time work around, I don't know, $200,000 into his law firm down there, Taylor Law, LLC. If you can't be transparent there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just be transparent. When he says, "I'm not transparent in the DA's office," I have public trials. I have I've got my offices open and inspected by grand jury. I have the county commissioners keep my financial records. Everything I have is transparent down there. Yet he stands and says, "You need to be transparent." And then he doesn't tell everybody. He says, "I've never drawn a government check." And I found out that his Taylor Law firm had been drawing close to $200,000 with the Public Defender's Office. That's a government paycheck, Mr. Taylor. You got from the Department of Family and Children Services, that's a federal paycheck. You want to portray yourself as being an outsider. You have rode the coattails of your politician buddies since college, and you admitted to it, and all you want to do is come down here and get your appointments from your buddies up in Atlanta, and you're not qualified for it. And listen, this is District Attorney's Office. That is my career. That is what I do for a living. I have dedicated my life to this community, to represent you inside the courtrooms. And yes, I get a little upset when Trey Taylor comes in with no experience and he says, "Mr. Fraser doesn't do this, Mr. Fraser doesn't do that." Trey, come clean and you be transparent, and don't tell me to be transparent. Tell the people that you do get government money. In fact, that's a large percentage of what you get. Listen, I need your vote and you need your support. We've been giving you good representation. I promise you I will fight for you in those courtrooms. I promise you that I will be your representative. My office will represent you. June the 9th, Republican primary. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. This concludes our segment on Dublin Judicial Circuit District Attorney. We'll be right back after a short break.
From humble beginnings with a desire to serve the Dudley community, Bank of Dudley has grown to 5 locations, serving Lawrence, Twiggs, and surrounding counties. Serving our community since 1905, the Bank of Dudley is looking forward to its 2nd century of community banking. Drop in today to any of our 5 locations: Jeffersonville, Dudley, East Dublin, Veterans Boulevard, and downtown Dublin. Bank of Dudley, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
Hello, I'm Darren King with Clements & King Insurance. And many of us do not like to talk about it, but no family needs to go without a life insurance program. Show your family how much you love them by preparing in advance with a life insurance program. Clements & King Insurance can help you with term insurance or permanent insurance. Regardless of your need, your age, or where you may be in life, life insurance is a critical part of financial planning for you and your family. Please give us a call at Clements & King Insurance, 272-8019.